Contained inside the time capsule were several artifacts from 1956, when the old library was built. These mementos give us an idea of what campus life was like almost 40 years ago.
Oh, we had less students, probably about 200. This camp, just the center campus where we're standing, is a shock to me. This used to be nothing but total grass.
At that time, it was the Gossard Memorial Library was a very important addition to the campus. Up till that time, we'd been squeezed in a very small space over in the old Carnegie building.
So with the construction of this new library going on behind me, officials here at Lebanon Valley College are already coming up with ideas of items to put in their own time capsule, which may be opened in 40 or 50 years, to give those who open it an idea of what life was like here on campus in 1994.
Well, we'll put in some of the same things. That is, we'll put in something like a catalog, some official documents. But I hope we put in some items that reflect the kind of nature and excitement of this place right now.
The new library has a price tag of $7 million and will be a sophisticated high-tech facility which will serve as the central information hub for the college. It's expected to be completed by late 1995. In Annville, Mike Rossi, Action News 15.
Sports is next tonight on Action News. Scott Bradley has the city of Reading. Action News reporter Mike Rossi has more.
Just a week away, both parties are turning up the heat on each other. Today, the Republicans brought their 1994 Broken Promises tour to Berks County to help boost the campaigns of their fellow Republicans and criticize the Democrats. As both sides sling mud at their opponents, Republican State Committee Chairperson Ann Anstine says negative campaigning is an unfortunate part of the political process.
It's unfortunate, and you know, I regret that as the leader of the party, because I really feel that people do get turned off on negative campaigning. They want to know what the solutions are, and instead of spending so much time on negative campaigning. But once it's started, then it's very difficult to stop it.
The latest polls show Tom Ridge and Rick Santorum running neck and neck with their opponents Mark Singal and Harris Wofford in their respective races. And even though President Clinton's popularity is on the way up, the Republicans say that won't be a factor, and they remain optimistic about next week's election.
And I'm delighted with our campaigns and where we are at the present time. We are leading, not by big numbers, but that's fine. And by November the 8th, then we will be the winning party.
I would say I think the momentum at this point is in this direction. I think people generally have become very disillusioned with what has happened, not just in the state from the standpoint of Democratic policy, but most certainly being driven by what we've seen in Washington.
Both Democrats and Republicans will be hitting the streets in force as the campaign enters its final week, with both sides hoping their candidates will be smiling come November 8th. In Reading, Mike Rossi, Action News 15. The official start of the Christmas season is still a few weeks away, but some local Marines are already in the holiday spirit. The annual Marine Corps Toys for Tots campaign is underway. The Marines are collecting thousands of toys to pass out to underprivileged children this Christmas. Last year, about 12,000 toys were collected, and with the public's help, the Marines hope to top that number this year.
We'll have barrels set up at the malls on the weekends, or you can make cash donations becoming involved, or you could be a volunteer helping with your time, helping sort out the toys, put them together.
Every year, the Toys for Tots campaign brings in thousands of toys for needy kids all across the country during Christmas time. If you would like to help, you can bring a new unwrapped toy to your nearest U.S. Marine Corps Reserve unit or drop one off anywhere you see a Toys for Tot collection bin. And remember, all the toys donated here in Berks County will go to needy kids right here in the county.
Nationwide, there's a Marine Reserve Center in every state and local communities. What it is each individual reserve center, whatever toys or donations are collected in that area, stays within that particular area.
Families interested in receiving toys for their children can contact the Salvation Army.
The important things for families to remember is that they must come in for the referral form. It only takes about 5-10 minutes to fill out. They do need to bring some identification for their family and proof of their income when they come.
Toys will be collected for the next 7 weeks, and they'll be given out the weekend before Christmas, just in time to bring joy to some needy kids. In Reading, Mike Rossi, Action News 15.
And there's much more. Mike Rossi has more.
A new design concept is currently under consideration for the rebuilding of the Mount Gretna Playhouse. The roof of the Playhouse collapsed under the weight of heavy snow last winter. Original plans for rebuilding were determined to be too expensive, as was the temporary tent that was used last summer. The new plans under consideration will provide a structure similar in appearance to the old Playhouse, blend with the architectural design of the surrounding area, and be much more financially feasible.
Well, we discovered a new potential plan that is less expensive, viable, and certainly could fill the bill for what we are looking for in a playhouse here at Mount Gretna to replace the one that fell down last winter.
The new Playhouse will feature most of the same events as the old facility, including plays and musical performances.
The plans, as I've seen them, are fabulous. I think the choices that the Chautauqua board has made to this point are terrific, and I think it's exactly what the community needs to get back together and all move forward in one direction. We're very excited.
Representatives from the Playhouse will hold a meeting with residents of the surrounding community to discuss the new plans on November 27th. The estimated price tag for the new Playhouse is $750,000. That's a lot less than the $2 million estimate for the original rebuilding project. Now, with a much more realistic goal, officials plan to break ground for the new Playhouse in December and hope to have it open in time for next summer's performing season. In Mount Gretna, Mike Rossi, Action News 15.
And there's much more in smoke. Mike Rossi has more.
Students at the Marshall Elementary School in Harrisburg have a new science center to help them with their studies. The new center is a collaborative effort between the Harrisburg School District and the Hershey Medical Center. The objective of the program is to develop an area where teachers can take students for hands-on research and experiments.
Research shows that children need to be able to do and demonstrate their knowledge and use knowledge in a very real application. And so hands-on activities, interactive activities with science and math are critical to their higher order thinking skills and critical learning and so forth. So we're very excited.
Personnel from the Hershey Medical Center will volunteer their time and knowledge of science to assist students in the new center.
During this process, there's a number of people from the medical center will be coming in from the Hershey Medical Center with medical students, graduate students, as well as faculty. This includes scientists and physicians, and there will be a number of different types of demonstrations.
School administrators hope this new center will get more kids interested in science at an early age. And the kids who use this new science center say the hands-on experience they receive here is much better than ordinary classroom learning.
I like the interesting things. I love science. I like dissecting things like we dissected the pig's heart.
It's excellent because it's a science lab for elementary kids, and then when you move on to high school kids, you know you have a lab, but when you're in elementary, you really don't expect to have a lab, and it's something new. You might not come here every day, but you can come out here once out of a month and do a big project.
The new Science Center will serve about 2,000 students from both.
Rossi takes us to the Pennsylvania Turnpike tonight, where officials say they're gearing up for the busy weekend.
As this holiday weekend approaches, many people will hit the road for their last trip of the summer. The Labor Day weekend is usually one of the busiest traffic weekends on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Officials say construction should not cause any additional congestion on the Turnpike this weekend. They also say there are a few steps drivers can take to make their trip safer and more enjoyable.
We have the call boxes where if they have an incident, they can report it immediately right to the state police and get help. We have the service plazas. We hope they'll stop so they don't get fatigued on their trip and take a little rest. In our reconstruction zones, we will have them open to the extent that it is possible. That means that for the most extent, they will not impede traffic during the holiday season.
Along with the additional traffic on the Turnpike this holiday weekend, there will be extra state police patrols out on the roads as well to ensure that motorists comply with speed limits, seatbelt laws, and other traffic regulations, and to make sure that everyone has a safe holiday weekend on the Turnpike.
Our patrols are going to be out emphasizing a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit by strict enforcement. We're asking motorists to stay alert, to drive defensively, to not become fatigued and try to continue a trip. When they find themselves getting tired, to pull over, to take a break, and just drive very cautiously because there's going to be a lot of traffic on the roadway.
Turnpike officials hope that you will take it easy on the roads this weekend, and they want you to know that you're never alone on the Turnpike. In Mount Gretna, Mike Rossi, Action News 15.
Sports is from Hershey Foods tonight. It's all part of a special business expo. Action News reporter Mike Rossi has more.
Dozens of minority and women-owned businesses were participating in a business expo sponsored by the Hershey Foods Corporation. It's the 7th annual Business Supplier Day. Purchasing personnel from Hershey Foods were sharing information with representatives from over 80 minority and women-owned businesses from across the country.
This is a way to break the ice for special thing that we do in this regard to facilitate that process.
This expo is a chance for women and minority-owned businesses to get their foot in the door with a Fortune 500 company such as Hershey Foods. These business owners say they're not looking for a handout. They just want the opportunity.
The opportunity to give our pitch, the opportunity to bid on some of the items that they're purchasing, and to prove ourselves. And there are many companies that are successful.
We're definitely not looking for a handout.
Down on the city's budget, as Action News reporter Mike Rossi tells us, another proposal was issued today.
With an operating budget deficit of more than $2 million, Reading city officials are looking at ways to trim some of the fat from the city budget. The latest idea comes from City Controller Tom Diana. He has proposed a plan to reduce comp time accumulated by city management employees. Currently, these managers must take comp time in lieu of overtime pay. This comp time can be used like vacation time, and according to Diana, some city managers have plenty of time coming to them. There's the amount of comp time a city manager can accumulate, and according to Diana, this new comp time policy would bring Reading more in line with other cities in the state.
Other than Pittsburgh, all the other cities have tighter controls over comp time usage than Reading, including Lebanon, by the way.
Initial reaction from the mayor and city council has been positive, although the mayor says there is a need for a more in-depth look into this problem.
The compensatory time issue actually does have to be looked at in relation to overall work responsibilities, and actually the busiest people and the hardest workers are going to rack up the most comp time. And if that's true, then I think the total compensation packages that are available to some of these key bureau people maybe needs to be revisited also.
While no action on the comp time issue is expected anytime soon, most agree it's a problem that needs to be addressed. In Reading, Mike Rossi, Action News 15.
Members of Ralph Law residents are still concerned with bacteria threatening their tap water tonight, and those affected are being asked to boil their water until further notice. Action News reporter Mike Rossi has more.
Some 29,000 residents in the Hershey, Palmyra, Annville area are still being advised to boil their water before using it for internal consumption. The advisory has been in effect since Saturday when testing at the Pennsylvania American Water Company uncovered high levels of E. coli bacteria in the water system.
So on Saturday, we read a number of bacteriological samples that were collected in our service territory, and several of them had the presence of coliform bacteria. We immediately contacted our Department of Environmental Resources and determined with them that because the bacteria were present in the system, that we should issue a precautionary boil water advisory.
Officials aren't sure how long this advisory will remain in effect, but they're telling everyone to boil their water for at least 1 minute before using it. Or you can do like they're doing here at Lebanon Valley College and use bottled water instead. Students at Lebanon Valley College are receiving free spring water to use until the contamination problem is solved.
It's been like a really big annoyance, and it's just the showers, everything. You can't get a shower, you can't brush your teeth without like using spring water, and it's just been a really big annoyance.
Meanwhile, crews continue to try to find the cause of the contamination, which can cause diarrhea, nausea, and several other symptoms. Anyone experiencing any of these symptoms should immediately consult a physician. In Hershey, Mike Rossi, Action News 15.
PennDOT a month away, election officials and candidates alike are getting the word out to encourage people to get out and vote. In Lebanon, one group's making that process a little easier for certain county residents. Action News reporter Mike Rossi has the story.
For many disabled Americans, casting their vote on Election Day can be difficult. Although many polling places are now accessible to the disabled, voter registration can still be a challenge. But one Lebanon Valley organization is trying to make it easier for disabled persons in the area to register for the upcoming election. Developmental and Disability Services of Lebanon Valley is holding a field voter registration drive to aid disabled voters.
We felt that perhaps they didn't know really where they could go to register to vote. They were not familiar with the voting apparatus if they did want to get out to vote. We also have applications here for absentee voter ballots in the event that they're going to be out of town or that their disability prevents them from getting out and going to vote.
Many times it's difficult for persons with disabilities to register to vote, and that may cause them to become discouraged about the voting process. But this program offers assistance and information on registration and makes that voting process a lot easier.
Well, I think it encourages those people who maybe have a physical disability and can't get out to a regular area to register to come into our facility, which is already handicapped accessible, and we're knowledgeable in assisting people with disabilities, so it makes it a whole lot easier for them and probably less threatening.
Anyone who could not attend this field voter registration drive can receive assistance by contacting Developmental and Disability Services of Lebanon Valley. In Lebanon, Mike Rossi, Action News 15. Employees of the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. The theme of their celebration is Hispanic Vision, Future Challenges and Opportunities. And the program highlights the experiences and culture of Hispanics in the United States. The program is designed to create better understanding within the Department of Labor and Industry to help those in the department work better together.
Well, it's always important to recognize cultural diversity, and in our department we deal so much with the public that it's important for our folks to really understand the differences between people and the similarities.
This program is a celebration of Hispanic culture and helps bridge the gap between Hispanics and other ethnic groups. And with more than 300,000 persons of Hispanic descent in Pennsylvania, it's important to share cultural experiences and create a better understanding among everyone.
I think it builds a better understanding both within the department and between the department and the people that they deal with.
It's a learning experience. It's a way of telling people, you know, we have these difficulties when we come here. And we are here for many different reasons, because each group has their own personal reason of coming here.
Governor Casey has designated September 15th through October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month in Pennsylvania to honor the contributions and accomplishments of the state's Hispanic population. In Harrisburg, Mike Rossi, Action News 15.
Lancaster General Hospital unveiled its new health tells us tonight. This year promises to be a flu-ridden one.
Some local senior citizens were taking advantage of free flu shots today. It's all part of the American Lung Association of Central Pennsylvania's effort to immunize those who are at high risk of contracting influenza. This is expected to be a severe flu season, especially for the elderly and persons suffering from lung disease and other ailments. According to the American Lung Association, the flu is much more than just a bad cold. It can also be deadly.
A lot of people think that influenza is just a bad cold. It is not. It is a very serious lung infection, and it can kill you. And it's a lot better to get the flu shot and not get the flu than to have to take the complications that may come with getting the flu.
With experts predicting a severe flu season this year, the American Lung Association is urging everyone, especially those 65 and older, to get a flu shot, which can reduce the chance of getting influenza up to 75%. Okay. And it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, approximately 75% of people who get the flu shot will not get the flu. Of the other people who still get the flu, it will probably be much less severe than it would have been had they not gotten a flu shot.
People 65 and over have about 100-fold more complications than people under 65. So it's tremendously important that they have this as a part of their preventive health care.
The American Lung Association says that about every 10 years, a flu virus strain appears that is dramatically different from other strains. So they urge everyone to get a yearly flu shot in order to reduce the chance of getting the flu. In Harrisburg, Mike Rossi, Action News 15.
Sports is next and has more.
Reading Education Center now has a state-of-the-art computer system thanks to some local businesses. The VF Corporation, Meridian Bank, and IBM came together to purchase the new system at a total cost of $700,000. School administrators had asked for 2 new computers for the school and wound up with 70.
There are 300 kids. 2 computers would hardly give anybody any airtime, let alone teaching time. So we began to think a little bit outside the box, and that turned into a requirement to have a full-scale computer lab and to have teaching units in every key classroom.
These computers enable teachers to target the specific academic needs of each individual student and design a curriculum based on those individual needs. And they also allow the teachers to keep track of the performance and progress of each student in the classroom.
Every student in here could be working on something totally different. We would know exactly what they're doing. We will know how many things they have correct, how many things they have wrong. We can then tailor remediation for that. The computers are proactive or kid active. They actually help the student along and say, try this, try that, or seek help.
The Reading Education Center is an alternative learning institution that helps kids from at-risk backgrounds. These computers help give this school and these kids the edge they'll need to have a successful future.
I want to go to a business school, so this will give me some background on that. Because everywhere I go, I see computers, everywhere, cash registers, everything.
In Reading, Mike Rossi, Action News 15.
Still to come tonight on Action News, some chance at instant fortune. The Pennsylvania Lottery's introduced a brand new game, and as Action News reporter Mike Rossi tells us, it's all in the cards.
Lottery players in Pennsylvania have another way to win. It's the brand new Hearts and Diamonds game from the Pennsylvania Lottery. The first drawing for the new game is tonight, and players are lining up to take a chance at the $20,000 weekly jackpot. But this game is different from other lottery games.
This is an all-quick pick game. Just like in regular cards, nobody picks their own cards. In Hearts and Diamonds, you'll go to your retailer, you'll ask for a Hearts and Diamonds ticket, you'll press a button on his machine, and you'll get a ticket. If your 5 cards match our 5 cards, you can win up to $20,000 or even more.
This new lottery game is expected to bring in about $26 million a year, and that's good news for the state. And the good news for those who play this game is that the odds of winning are much better than other lottery games.
Actually, as jackpot games go, the odds are pretty good. They're 65,000 to 1. Now, Cash 5 is a 565,000 to 1 game. Wild Card Lotto's a 6 million to 1 game. Super 7's a 14 million to 1 game.
Lottery officials hope this new game will boost sales, and players are hoping the low odds will mean big bucks.
Well, it can go up to 20,000, I heard, so that would be pretty nice.
Sales for Hearts and Diamonds have been strong, but retailers believe they'll get even better once people see the new game and understand how to play.
A lot of people don't understand exactly what's going on with the game, and even after you explain it to them, they don't understand. And once it's drawn, I think they'll see and they'll say, oh, wow, that was really easy, and play it.
So if you play Hearts and Diamonds, here's hoping that good luck is in the cards. In Lebanon, Mike Rossi, Action News 15. Good evening, I'm Mike Rossi. It's a showdown spectacle in Lebanon County and some serious storm damage to deal with. The details on Action News coming up next.
From WLYH TV, this is Action News at 6. Serving Lancaster, Lebanon, York, Harrisburg, Reading, and the entire Susquehanna Valley with the latest in news, sports, and weather. And now, for Action News, here's Kara Jambron.
Good evening. It's Monday, April 10th, 1995. I'm Mike Rossi. Kara Jambron is on assignment. In the news, we'll tell you why a Berks County school's being left in the lurch and what's in the development future for your community. We'll let you know. But the big story tonight on Action News is the big showdown at Fort Indiantown Gap. The day has arrived, and it was a strong showing by Lebanon Countyans in the fight to save their biggest employer. Hundreds of local residents joined community, business, and government officials in a show of support today at the Gap as a key figure in the base's future paid a visit. Al Cornella, a member of the Base Realignment and Closure Commission, traveled to Fort Indiantown Gap this morning to get a first-hand look at base operations and to listen to the arguments for keeping the facility open. They came from all over Lebanon, Dauphin, and Schuylkill counties. Business leaders, civilian employees, and school children, all with the same purpose, to get Fort Indiantown Gap off the BRAC hit list.
We really don't want a handout. What we want is a fair shake. When the figures are in, look at the computer printout. Make sure that it's right. That's what we ask of you. If you want to find the savings, there's plenty of savings keeping the people right here in Pennsylvania.
Commissioner Cornella toured several base facilities, including flight simulators and the tank qualification range. He also took an aerial tour of the Gap and met with local residents and government representatives.
When you look at an installation like this on paper, all you see are some numbers about savings and the number of personnel that can be cut and net present value over 20 years and those types of things. And when you go out and you look and listen and feel the installation, you got a lot better impression of what's being closed and what the considerations are.
We're very pleased with the turnout. We've received over 43,000 signatures now, and it keeps growing as we walk along here. People hand us petitions. I hope that we've impressed him that the Gap is vital to the military, and hopefully that he'll take the word back to Washington and they'll keep the Gap open.
Officials here at the Gap hope today's show of support will convince the BRAC Commission to keep this base open. Now, there is still one chance left for Gap officials to plead their case. That will come next month at a BRAC Commission hearing in Baltimore. Now on to our other top story tonight. If you were anywhere near home last night, no doubt you heard and saw those fierce storms that ripped through our area. But those storms didn't just leave some scattered leaves and wet roads in its wake. Residents of some areas this morning woke up to serious damage. Action News reporter Matthew Stone takes us to the area's hardest hit and lets us know how they're dealing and how it all can affect you.
People are still trying to clean up after yesterday's surprise storm. Hurricane-strength winds and torrential downpours caused heavy damage all over the area. Down power lines, down trees.
Towns come to the conclusion that they're footing the final bill for a famous visit earlier this year. You may remember back in January when President Clinton spoke with students at Kutztown University. Well, officials from both the school and Kutztown Borough say they haven't been reimbursed for any of the extra police protection, phone lines, or other special additions because of the president's visit. Those bills added up to just under $50,000. University officials say the money will have to come out of a school contingency fund. And now there are 6. Senator Bob Dole's joining the mass of Republicans who say they'd like the country's top job. Dole announced his official candidacy for the Oval Office at a Kansas ceremony this morning. It's the 3rd time he sought the office, and at age 71, Bob Dole is the oldest candidate in the race so far. The Senate Majority Leader says he's looking to cut taxes, balance the budget, and restore states' rights in his candidacy. He's in New Hampshire tonight, already starting on the campaign trail. Well, here at home, officials are looking into changing just how the whole election process works. The House State Government Committee opened up hearings this morning to discuss what can be done to cut back on voter fraud in the Commonwealth. And most agree that something needs to be done. The election race in the Philadelphia area last year, where absentee ballot fraud changed the outcome of the race. In light of the many transportation problems in the Commonwealth, members of that committee are on a reform mission of their own tonight. They're riding the rails themselves to really get the facts on the train travel situation in Pennsylvania and hopefully get to the bottom of a potential solution.
The trip has 2 purposes. First of all, it's to bring the committee together to really understand real issues.
Roots, among other things, these recent Amtrak cuts that are leaving many Pennsylvania commuters stranded. Although selected service along the popular Keystone commuter line was restored, officials are hoping they'll be able to do the same for other routes. Pennsylvanians, get out your books. Governor Tom Ridge has proclaimed this week as Library Week, saying libraries are one of the institutions that help Pennsylvanians lead better lives. In support of book houses, Governor's new budget includes a $2.5 million proposal that would go to maintaining public libraries across the Commonwealth. The love of books is so close to the governor's heart, by the way, partially because First Lady Michelle Ridge is the former director of the Erie County Library System. Well, township supervisors from around the state have gathered in Hershey tonight for
for the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Supervisors 73rd Annual Convention. The convention features forums with high-ranking officials from the Department of Environmental Resources and the Department of Community Affairs, agencies that have been targets for major overhauls by Governor Ridge.
We're going to hear from a variety of...
The convention is to provide township officials with information to help them better serve their constituents and to give them an opportunity to exchange ideas on important local government issues. The convention continues through Wednesday. Still to come tonight on Action News, we'll tell you why it's easy riding once again in the city of brotherly love. And just why are these students listening so intently? We'll take you to their sneak peek at the career world. Stay with us. In the Action News financial report tonight, you may soon have one more choice to make when it comes to your local long-distance phone service. The Frontier Company has announced it's buying and taking over ALC Communications. The deal would create the country's fifth largest long-distance phone company. The move was made to put the Frontier organization in what officials call a better competitive position. Finances could also be the cause behind traveling headaches you may have this summer. A report today out of New York says there's a shortage of air traffic controllers in the state, and that it all could translate into canceled flights. Excuse me, and that's not all. The FAA says the amount of overtime the controllers are working is adding to operational errors as well. Officials are warning any passengers who regularly go through LaGuardia, Kennedy, or Newark International to just be prepared in the coming months. But those travel problems are going miraculously away for Philadelphia area commuters tonight. The buses and trolleys are rolling again there after SEPTA workers accepted a tentative contract agreement with the city. They got back on the job today. The strike agreement covers all city transit workers. Negotiations are still going on with one suburban line, but leaders with that union say they'll return to work soon as well. Full service on the SEPTA lines could be back in place as early as tomorrow morning. The official vote on that contract offer will come on Friday. Sixth grade students at the Milton Hershey School were learning more about possible career choices today. Representatives from several major companies, including USA Today and AMP, spoke to the students as part of their school's career development program.
What we were trying to do is to expose our
opportunity for students to become better educated about different careers and allows the students to interact with experts from various fields. Well, sports is coming up next tonight on Action News. Scott Bradley will be along, and he'll have the latest on the Phillies' preparation for the start of the regular season, and some good news for Andre Agassi as the season's second major tournament approaches. Scott Bradley now joins us with a look at sports and the spring training, the real spring training underway for the Phillies in Clearwater.
Boy, it's just neat to be talking about trades and guys signing contracts as opposed to the latest legal maneuverings and all the other crap. The Phillies have 3 more players under contract, and it's good news. 2 of them are pitchers, Andy Carter and Tyler Green, plus outfielder Rob Butler, who was picked up from Toronto. They each came to terms today. The Phils also sold 4,433 tickets for the remainder of the spring training schedule, and ticket sales there is going along. That schedule starts Thursday night at home. Putting well, and a guy who everybody, I think now, if you watch the Masters, knows the story of his one of the greatest coaches in the history of golf, passing away last Sunday, and very much won it for Harvey Penick.
He was very emotional after the win. To hockey now, good time for hockey fans in the area with the Bears going into the playoffs. It looks like the Flyers will make it for the first time in 5 years.
It looks like they will. The thing about the Bears, I mean, the wins that they had, they played so poorly on Saturday at home. They've lost 4 home games in a row, which is, I don't know when the last time that has happened. But they won a big game in Binghamton Friday night with a couple of starters playing home, a couple of regulars, and then one in Rochester last night to close the season, lock up 3rd place. And I think now, as opposed to maybe about a week ago this time, I really think they'll give Cornwall a run for their money now. And again, last week at this time, it looked like Hershey was going to be 4 and done. Now I think they'll give the Aces a run.
All right, let's hope so. Thanks, Scott. We'll be back with much more, including the forecast on Action News. Stay with us. As we told you earlier in the newscast, scenes like these are rather common today all over our area. Last night's fierce storms caused downed trees, power outages, and even some structural damage in many areas, primarily in Lancaster and York counties. Crews were out throughout the day today assessing the damage and helping with the cleanup. Lancaster Countyans are also reporting a possible tornado last night, but that hasn't been confirmed by the National Weather Service. Certainly some nasty weather last night.
Yeah.
And we hung on to the gray skies today, but hopefully that's on the way out. Scott Bradley, once again. Looks like I guess the spring season also is significant because of the thunderstorms.
Well, that's true. In fact, April is usually the rainiest month of the year, and we've obviously gotten off to a start like that yesterday. Let's hope things maybe are a little more peaceful, but possibly just as rainy the rest of this month. We certainly could use the wet stuff.
Okay, Scott, thanks a lot. Animal lovers, get ready to pack your bags for Portland because they're throwing quite a party in that city. A birthday party, that is. Packy the elephant's not hiding his age any. Officials at the Washington Park Zoo pulled out all the stops for the big party. And Packy's feeling pretty special on his big day. He's 33 years old. He was the first elephant born in the Western Hemisphere in more than 44 years. As for the party, Packy's guests of honor featured a clown, a high school choir, and lots of kids, of course. But the big highlight, though, was a 35-pound birthday cake with none other than peanut butter icing. Recapping some of the top stories tonight here on Action News, a member of the Base Realignment and Closure Commission says he'll have some very tough decisions to make. Commissioner Al Cornella traveled to Lebanon County this morning for a tour of hit-listed Fort Indiantown Gap. Hundreds of supporters also traveled to the base, where they pulled out all the stops in an effort to convince the commissioner to keep the gap open. And the cleanup of downed trees, power lines, and in some cases buildings continues tonight. Fierce storms ripped through the valley last night. Areas of Lancaster County were among the hardest hit. Tomorrow night on Action News, an annual tradition to help others marches through Lancaster streets again, and we'll take you to the kickoff ceremonies of AIDS Walk 95.
And this should be the coolest evening of the week. 35 degrees and some cloud cover tonight. Tomorrow, back to a start of better days, partly sunny, with a high of 60 degrees and maybe some rain and a few late thunderstorms coming up later on this week. In sports, we'll have highlights of the Harrisburg Heat and Cleveland Crunch tonight coming up at 11 o'clock as Harrisburg tries to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-5 series. Cleveland hoping to rebound and tie it, obviously, at 1-1. We'll have a look at that. Plus, one of the teams chasing the Flyers, the Devils, in Montreal tonight. We'll have those highlights as well at 11 o'clock.
Okay, Scott, thank you. CBS Evening News is up next here on TV 15. As Scott mentioned, he'll be back tonight in the Sports Corner at 11. Now for Scott and the entire Action News team, I'm Mike Rossi. Thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great night.
my scholarship. The good news is I found a job to help with tuition. Hard part is, all this is over.
The Prudential Halftime Report has been brought to you by the Prudential Peace of Mind. It comes with every piece of the ride.
And welcome back once again. Let's get you updated on one score before we get you out to your game between Georgia and Georgia Tech. Remember the brawl at the end of this game last year? The coaches said they'll have none of that this time around. Big rivalry. Georgia has just kicked a field goal, leading now 3-0. The game has just begun. We will, of course, keep you updated on that one throughout the day. We will get you back to the second half of Nebraska and Oklahoma in just a moment. That one is tied up at 3 apiece. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that will pick you up right at your door. That's Enterprise. Call us. We'll arrange to come to you, take you back to our office, and you're on your way. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Drop everything and hurry into the JCPenney After Thanksgiving sale, where you'll find incredible savings throughout every department. But after Saturday, it's over, so get going before everything disappears.
How much longer can he last on that battery?
You know, he just doesn't get it. Duracell batteries outlast all other brands. Hey, Larry, sometime today?
Larry Doty for the birdie.
Larry Doty on the lobster.
Hooked it.
Herb.
Okay, I'll get him down.
Herb.
The Copper Top. Tops them all.
Visa salutes American Olympic champions. In 1976, speed skater Sheila Young stunned the world by winning 3 Olympic medals, including a gold.
Sheila Young, she's gonna do it! Across the floor. She did it! Sheila Young.
In continued support of amateur athletics, Visa today is proud to donate another $1,000 to the U.S. Olympic team to support future Olympic hopefuls in their quest for the gold.
East of the Texas Hill Country in Austin, there's a